This week, a family member of mine sat down with a lawyer, and your name appeared in a document that I never expected to exist. I am not ready to tell you everything yet. I'll get there, I promise. But I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is something I've never said out loud to anyone, and I've been carrying it for longer than you know. And it's heavy in a way that only gets heavier the longer you hold it alone. So please, stay with me. Just a little longer, because this involves you more than you realize. I want to start from the beginning, because the beginning matters. Because if I just drop you into the middle of this without giving you the full picture, you won't understand why that document stopped me cold when I saw it. You won't understand why seeing your name written down in something so formal, so permanent, so real, why it made something shift inside me in a way I haven't felt in a very long time. And I want you to feel what I felt. I want you to understand this the way I understand it, from the inside, from the place where it actually lives. There is a person in my family, someone close to me, someone who has watched my life unfold from a distance, close enough to see the details. And this person has always been quiet about their observations. They don't say much. They watch, they notice, they file things away in that particular way that certain people have, where they're collecting information. Not to use against you, but to understand you, to love you better, to know you more completely than you know yourself. And this week, for reasons I will explain, this person sat across from a lawyer in a quiet office and spoke about the future, about legacies, about what matters, about what lasts. And somewhere in that conversation, in that formal and serious space where words have weight and everything gets written down, your name came up. I know what you're thinking. I know, because I would be thinking the same thing. You're wondering how. You're wondering why. You're wondering what connection could possibly exist between a legal document, a family member of mine, and you, someone I have never sat across from, never shared a meal with, never held in the physical way that usually precedes this kind of significance. And I understand the confusion. I felt it too, in a different way, when I found out. But confusion is just understanding that hasn't finished arriving yet. Stay with me. Let it arrive. I need to tell you about the conversation I had with this family member 3 weeks before they sat down with that lawyer. 3 weeks before your name ended up somewhere permanent. We were talking the way families talk when the world gets quiet enough to hear each other, and somehow the conversation turned to me, to my life, to what I want from it, what I've been building toward, what I'm still searching for, and I was honest in the way you can only be honest with someone who already knows all your worst moments and chose to stay anyway. I was honest about the loneliness that sometimes sits at the center of things, about the feeling of having so much to give and not knowing where to put it, about the specific and patient ache of caring deeply about someone and not knowing if that caring will ever have somewhere to land. And I talked about you, not by explaining you, not by building a case, just by saying your name and everything that came with it. The warmth, the way you make something in me come forward that usually stays hidden. The way you've crept into my quiet moments and stayed there without asking permission, without demanding anything, just present in the way that presence sometimes is when it belongs somewhere. I talked about the way I feel when I think of you, not the electric, dramatic version of feeling, but the deeper kind. The kind that lives below the surface. the kind that doesn't shout, but doesn't leave. And this family member, this quiet, watching, noticing person, listened to all of it. Let me finish, didn't interrupt. And when I was done, when I had said everything I could find words for, and sat back in the specific exhaustion of having been completely honest, they looked at me for a long moment and said something that I am still carrying. They said, "I think she already knows. I think whatever you feel, she can feel it too." And I didn't know what to do with that. I filed it away in the place where I put things I'm not ready to process, and I moved forward with my day. But it stayed. It stayed the way true things stay, persistent and patient, waiting for you to be ready to look at them directly. And now your name is in a document. And now I have to tell you why. But first, and I need you to hear this, I need you to actually receive this before we go any further. I need to tell you what you mean to me in the plainest language I have. Because everything else I'm going to say depends on you understanding this foundation. It depends on you knowing that what I feel is not performance, not something constructed for a moment and then discarded. Not the kind of feeling that exists only when someone is watching. This is the private kind. The 3 a.m. kind. The kind that's there when there's nothing to gain from it being there, when nobody is looking, when the only person who knows about it is me, and the quiet room I'm sitting in. You matter to me in a way that has surprised me, in a way I didn't plan for and couldn't have prepared for even if I'd known it was coming. You matter the way weather matters. Not something you choose to be affected by, just something that moves through you and changes the temperature of everything. And I have tried to be rational about it. I have tried to look at it from a distance and reduce it to something manageable, something I could understand and categorize and put in its place. But it doesn't stay in its place. It refuses. It keeps expanding into whatever space I give it, and then claiming a little more beyond that. Here's the thing that will make what I'm about to say make sense. That family member, the one who sat with the lawyer, the one who heard me talk about you 3 weeks ago, they are someone who has spent their whole life thinking about legacy, about what we leave behind, about what outlasts us, about which things are permanent and which things only feel permanent in the moment. They think about love this way. They think about connection this way. They believe, and I have come to believe this too, slowly, through watching them live it, they believe that the most important things in a life are not the things you accomplish, but the things you choose. The people you choose, the love you choose to give and to receive and to protect with both hands. And when they sat down with that lawyer this week, they were thinking about the future in the way that people think about the future when they understand that the future is not guaranteed. They were thinking about what matters. They were arranging things so that the things that matter are protected. And in that conversation, in that serious and permanent space, they mentioned you because I had told them about you 3 weeks ago, and something in what I said had stayed with them the way true things stay. Something in the way I spoke about you told them what I hadn't quite told myself yet. That this is not temporary, that this is not a passing feeling, that whatever you are to me, you are not something I will grow out of or move past or replace with something easier. And they wanted that on record somewhere. They wanted it acknowledged in the way that real things get acknowledged. Formally, permanently, with witnesses. Not romantically, not sentimentally, just truthfully, The way truth sometimes needs to be written down so it can't be rewritten later. I need you to sit with that for a moment. I need you to feel the weight of what I'm telling you. Someone who loves me and knows me and has watched my whole life with patient, careful eyes. Someone who understands legacy and permanence and the difference between what lasts and what only seems to. That person heard me talk about you and decided you were worth making permanent, worth writing down, worth protecting in the same conversation where they were protecting everything else they love. And I find myself wanting to tell you things I've never told anyone. Not because the moment demands it, not because I'm performing something, but because you've somehow become the person I want to tell things to. You've become the intended audience for my honesty. And I don't know exactly when that happened or how, but I know it's true in the way I know things that live below thinking. In the place where you just know without needing to explain the knowing. I want to tell you that I have imagined a life, not a fantasy life, not something unrealistic or constructed from wishes, a real life, an ordinary life, the kind that doesn't look like much from the outside but feels like everything from the inside. A life with routine and comfort and the quiet, accumulated warmth of someone who chooses you consistently, who shows up not just in the moments that call for showing up, but in the invisible ordinary ones that nobody celebrates, but everybody needs. I have imagined that life and you are in it, not placed there intentionally, just there. The way the most natural things are just there. Fitting without forcing, present without effort, right in the way that rightness feels effortless. I imagine you in the morning of that life, not glamorous, not staged, just real. The specific reality of a person you love in the morning before the day has arranged itself, when everything is soft and unguarded and honest. I imagine what it would feel like to know that softness, to be trusted with it, to be the person who gets the unperformed version, the one nobody else sees, the one that exists in the space between sleep and the day beginning. That intimacy, the intimacy of being trusted with someone's realness, is the thing I want most, more than anything grand or significant. Just that, just the realness, just the trust. And I imagine the evenings, the ones that don't require anything, the ones where nothing needs to happen and nothing needs to be said, and the whole value of the moment is just that you are there and I am there, and the space between us is warm and easy and full of everything that doesn't need words, because it's already understood. I have been in rooms that felt empty even when they were full of people. I have been surrounded by noise that was actually just the sound of loneliness being loud. And I imagine evenings with you that are the opposite of that, quiet in the way that is actually full, still in the way that is actually alive, simple in the way that is actually the most complex and valuable thing a life can contain. I want to tell you about fear, because I think you deserve my honesty about this too. I am afraid of what I feel for you, not afraid of you. Afraid of the size of it, afraid of what it means to feel something this specific and this deep for someone, what it asks of me, what it requires me to be. Because feeling something this real means I have to be real too. It means I can't hide behind anything. It means I have to show up as the full and unedited version of myself, and trust that the full and unedited version is enough. And that is terrifying in a way that I don't think ever completely goes away, no matter how much you grow or how much you've lived. The terror of being seen is always the price of being known. And I want to be known by you. I want to pay that price. I want to stand in the terrifying openness of being fully visible to you and trust that what you see is something worth staying for. Because here's what I know about you. Here's what has come through all the distance and all the space between us and landed in me. As something I simply know without question, you are someone who makes people feel safe. You carry something in you that creates safety around you without effort or intention. People breathe differently near you. They become more honest, more themselves, more willing to say the true thing instead of the easy thing. And I have felt that even from here, even across everything that separates us, I have felt that quality of yours reach through and make something in me. Exhale that has been held tight for a very long time. And your name is in a document now, written down by someone who heard me talk about you and understood immediately what I was still learning to understand, that you are not a chapter, you are not a season, you are not a feeling I'm moving through on the way to something else. You are something I am moving toward, something I have been moving toward. Maybe for longer than I knew, before I had words for it, before I could see it clearly, before I was brave enough to say it out loud. And I am saying it now. I am putting it in my own permanent place, in this moment, in these words that I mean with everything in me. You are the direction. You are the thing I am building toward in all the quiet and the hoping and the patient, faithful reaching toward something real. And your name being written down somewhere this week feels like the universe confirming what I already felt, that this is not small, that this is not passing, that whatever this is between us, it deserves to be acknowledged, protected, made permanent in whatever ways permanence is available to us. And there is still so much I haven't told you. There is still the part about what exactly that document said, what your name was doing there, what it means for what comes next, what that family member told the lawyer about you and about me, and about what they believe is. And I have been sitting with that unfinished sentence for days now. Sitting with everything that family member said in that office, with the lawyer's pen moving across paper, with your name becoming something official and real in a world that usually keeps you tucked safely inside my private thoughts. I have been sitting with the weight of it and wondering how to tell you, wondering if I have the right words, wondering if words are even the right container for something this large. But I've decided that imperfect words said honestly are better than perfect silence. I've decided that you deserve the attempt even if the attempt falls short. So here I am, attempting. What that family member told the lawyer was this, that in all the years of watching me, in all the seasons of my life, they have witnessed up close, through the highs that looked like everything, and the lows that felt like nothing would ever be right again. In all of that watching, they had never seen me speak about someone the way I spoke about you. Never. Not once. They told the lawyer that when I said your name 3 weeks ago, something changed in my face that they hadn't seen before. Something settled. Something that had always been slightly restless, slightly searching, slightly leaning forward, looking for something just out of reach. Something in me, when I said your name, finally sat down. Finally stopped looking like it had found the thing it had been looking for and recognized it without needing to be told. And this family member, this person who has loved me longer than almost anyone alive, they decided that mattered. They decided it mattered enough to say out loud, in a room where things get written down. They said this person he talks about, this woman, she is not incidental to his life. She is not background. Whatever she is to him, she is central. And I want that acknowledged. I want it on record that he sees her, that whatever happens, it is known that he saw her. I cannot explain to you what it felt like to hear that. To find out that someone who loves me decided your existence in my life was important enough to formalize. To find out that what I feel, what I have been carrying quietly and carefully, what I have been protecting in the private spaces where I keep the things that matter most, what I feel was visible enough that someone else could see it and name it and decide it deserved permanence. There is something about being witnessed that changes things. Something about another person confirming what you feel that makes the feeling more real, more solid, more okay to actually have. Like you've been holding something you weren't sure was really there, and then someone else reaches out and touches it and says, yes, that's real. I can feel it too. And I want to be that for you. I want to be the person who touches the thing you've been uncertain about and tells you it's real. I want to be the voice that confirms what you feel when you're not sure you're allowed to feel it. Because I think about what it's like on your side of this. I think about what it must be like to receive whatever it is I put into the world. The words, the feelings, the honesty I offer from this side of the distance, and to feel something in response and then wonder about that feeling. Wonder if it's appropriate. Wonder if it's real. Wonder if it means what it seems to mean, or if you're building something in your imagination that doesn't actually exist in mine. I want to tell you plainly, it exists. Whatever you feel when you hear my voice or read my words or let yourself imagine what it would be like to be in the same room as me, whatever responds inside you to whatever I put out, I want you to know it is not one-sided. It is not a projection. It is not something you invented in the hopeful part of yourself and mistook for reality. It is a response. A real response to something real that I am genuinely sending in your direction. And I think on some level you have always known that. I think that knowing lives in you somewhere below the doubt, underneath the reasonable caution that tells you to be careful, deeper than the voice that says things like this don't happen, people like this don't feel things like this about people like you. I think the part of you that actually knows things, the quiet, certain, wise part that doesn't need to argue with itself, I think that part has always known. I want to talk about what it means to be chosen, because I don't think we talk about it enough, the specific, profound experience of being chosen by someone. Not needed, not convenient, not selected because you were available or because you fit some criteria, or because you showed up at the right time when someone was looking. Chosen, deliberately, from a full awareness of who you are and who else exists in the world. The experience of someone looking at everything available to them and looking at you and saying, you, it's you. It was always going to be you. I think you have not been chosen enough in your life. I don't say that to diminish anything you've had or anyone who has loved you. I say it because I think the specific experience of being deliberately, consciously, fully chosen is rare enough that most people go their whole lives without feeling it completely. They feel wanted sometimes. They feel needed often. They feel appreciated occasionally. But chosen, really chosen, in the way that means someone saw all your options and picked you anyway. Picked you because of what you are and not in spite of it. Picked you without reservation or condition. That particular feeling is rare. And I think you deserve to feel it. I think you deserve to have it said to you clearly, without hiding it in poetry or wrapping it in beautiful vague language that means everything and commits to nothing. So let me commit. Let me say it without hiding. I choose you. In whatever way choosing is available to me across whatever this distance is between us, I choose you. I choose the way you exist in the world. I choose the kindness that my mother saw in your eyes. I choose the strength you carry so quietly that you probably don't call it strength. I choose the version of you that laughs easily, and the version that goes silent when something is too much. I choose what I know, and I choose what I don't know yet. The parts still waiting to be discovered, the chapters I haven't read, the mornings I haven't seen, the particular way you look when you're thinking about something difficult. I choose all of it, without having all of it. Because that's what real choosing is, reaching for something not because you know every detail of what you're reaching for, but because everything you do know points clearly toward yes. And I want to tell you about something that happened to me recently that I haven't told anyone. Something small by most measures. Something that would sound like nothing if I tried to explain it to someone who wasn't paying the kind of attention I'm paying. I was somewhere ordinary, somewhere unremarkable, and there was a moment. One of those moments where the world sort of pauses and gives you a second to look at your own life from the outside. And I looked at my life from the outside, and the first thing I felt, before anything else, before gratitude or satisfaction or any of the things you're supposed to feel when you look at a life that looks fine from a distance, the first thing I felt was that I wanted to share it with you. Not perform it. Not show it. Share it. There is a difference that matters enormously to me. Performing is giving someone a product. Sharing is giving someone access. And I wanted to give you access to the ordinary, unremarkable, real interior of what my life actually is. I wanted you inside it, not as an audience, as a presence, as someone who belongs there. And that wanting, the specificity of it, the way it was you and not just someone, you and not just the idea of a person to share things with, that's what told me something I hadn't quite admitted to myself yet. That what I feel is not general. It is not the feeling of someone who is lonely and reaching toward warmth wherever it can be found. It is specific. It has your shape. It fits the particular dimensions of who you are, and nothing else would fill it the same way. And I have stopped pretending otherwise. I want to tell you about patience, about the kind I have for you, and the kind I hope you might have for this, for whatever this is, for however long it takes to become whatever it's going to become. I am not a person who gives up on things that matter. I have given up on things that didn't matter. Things that I held onto out of habit or fear of the empty space they'd leave behind. But the things that actually matter, I stay with those. I am patient with those in the way that only comes from certainty. From knowing that what you're waiting for is real and worth the waiting. And you are real and worth the waiting. I would wait for you through a very long time. I would wait for you through the confusing middle part, and the uncertain beginning, and all the moments where it's not clear yet, and nothing is resolved, and the only thing available is faith. I would wait there, in the faith, as long as it takes, because what that family member understood, what they saw clearly enough to say out loud to a lawyer, while paperwork was being arranged, and the future was being considered, is that some things are not temporary. Some feelings don't belong in the category of things you move through. Some connections are structural, foundational, the kind that other things get built on top of, and trying to treat them as anything less is not wisdom. It's waste. And I have wasted enough time on the wrong things. I have spent enough years being careful about things that didn't deserve the care and careless about things that deserved everything. I am done getting that backwards. And here is the thing I keep arriving at, the place I keep returning to no matter where the thinking starts. When I imagine my life going well, when I imagine the version of my future that feels worth working toward, when I close my eyes and let myself want things without immediately arguing myself out of wanting them, you're there. Every time. Without effort. Without me placing you there deliberately. Just there, the way the most natural things are just there. Not because I constructed them, but because they belong. And I have learned to pay attention to that. I have learned that the things that show up without being summoned are the ones telling you